This is how Mayo passes his day in prison in the United States. Ioan Grillo recently interviewed the lawyer of El Mayo Zambada. He spoke to him on what his daily movements are in the Metropolitan Federal Prison of New York. Ioan Grillo said Mayo's in a solitary, high security cell and receives visits daily from his lawyer. Remember what Jay said. Them lawyers show up every day. You know, they got to give you something to do, right? Get you out of that, cell and into the room. They there every day. That's what you get paid the big bucks for, all right? And if you could bring my baby mama, then bring my baby mama. Frank told him that these conversations are so that Mayo doesn't lose his mental stability. So he wants to have these daily meetings with him to, keep him moving and engaged mentally. He wouldn't want him to be, without speaking to somebody from the outside world in a long period of time. He said during these conversations, Mayo talks about politics and his life on the ranch. He talks about Mexican politics between the United States and America and the USA. Mexico and the United States. As far as his health goes, his lawyer said he only suffers from diabetes. He doesn't have the C word. He said he's got diabetes, but he's receiving treatment. He also said that when he was snatched and brought to the United States, he was in a state of shock. And he said that Mayo has no interest in cooperating with the United States government. That he's come to the conclusion that he's ready to, drift off into the upper room in prison. He revealed that their main objective in their defense is to avoid capital punishment. Their main objective is to avoid the termination penalty. He said, unlike Chapo, there wasn't an official extradition between the U.S. and Mexico. And the lawyer said that up to the moment, on the contrary to what Luis Chaparro said, this guy's credibility goes farther and farther with me, right? But why? Why should it? Because why should I believe the lawyer too? You know what I'm saying? If everybody's bullshitting. But it seems like every time, now this is Ioan Grillo. That's what makes me say that Luis Chaparro's credibility keeps sliding with me. Because, man, dog, every time he says something, somebody come the next day and say, nah, that ain't it. This is it. All right, so he's saying no cooperation has happened. He hasn't talked to nobody. He hasn't started no process of cooperating, none of the above. And he said he hasn't become an informant or given up anything on politicians or the criminal organizations. I guess he said his people in Mexico is why he's staying silent. Oh, yeah, that his people are still in Mexico, so that's a big reason why he got nothing to say. So he has businesses and family in Mexico that he doesn't want to risk.
Buen día, siempre un gustazo. Saludos al auditorio.
Gracias, Juan. ¿Qué te dijo?
What's up, man? Ioan Grillo got better Spanish than me? Fuck is wrong with this guy, man? He definitely got better Spanish vocabulary than me.
Buen día, siempre un gustazo. Saludos al auditorio.
Gracias, Juan. ¿Qué te dijo Frank Perez? Cuéntanos.
It was a very interesting conversation. It was a long conversation. He hadn't had a long conversation like that since Mayo went down in July. And we talked on every detail of the case. He said, but the most important and the main issue was he was making it clear that he did not start singing. That he's giving no information on politicians or narco criminals. To the agents or to the police or to the government. He's saying usually you got to get a proffer when you're going to cooperate. You got more spice in your Spanish, bro. His ass sound like El Gato Los Pantalones.
Tango El Gato Los Pantalones.
I got to give him credit. He's doing pretty fucking good.
Again.
And the proffer pretty much indicates what kind of information you got. Against which politicians, against which criminals. Okay, then after the proffer, then it's what's the person going to get in benefit of giving this information. He said none of those steps have been taken yet. And he said he's not interested in the future. He's 75 years old. He said he's donezo. He's gonna drift off to the upper room in prison. He's accepted this. He has family in Mexico. They gave it out to us in the summary, basically. He has family in Mexico. He got businesses in Mexico. He don't want to put none of that at risk. It's not a case like Minilik or Vicentillo that they're younger men.
10 años salir.
And they could do 10 years and get out.
En el caso de Mayo,
In the case of Mayo, the United States can't give him 10, 15 years. They got to give him 30 and up. He's trying to work a deal where he pleads guilty, where they take off the death penalty. I believe that's what he said. Well, he's taking a plea then.
Están buscando una.
So I guess he'll get a life sentence and not the death penalty if he pleads guilty. That's what he's working on. Snicker season, yeah, I think he's my favorite journalist on the subject so far. I've never seen him and said he's just talking out of his ass. Every time there's something questionable, he makes it clear that it's questionable. He don't just talk. And now they're talking about the fact that because he was snatched and brought here and not extradited, they actually that's why these guys are taking their stance against that penalty in this case, because of how he was taken and how he's up to be put on the chopping block. It's crazy when Mayo says he can't snitch because he has family and businesses in Mexico. Like, who you scared of? He don't need his businesses anymore. Damn right he don't. He don't need shit no more. His cows, they done turn them into burger. Cheese on mine. But I bet he's scared of the Mexican government. I'm not so scared of them. He told them, y'all better fucking hurry up and get me out of here before I do something to y'all. They're just talking about how Ovidio's extradition was formal, Chapo's extradition was formal, and how Mayo's wasn't. He said second point is back in the day they didn't really chase the termination penalty. They would throw the life sentence on him.
Pero que llega el Donald Trump.
But Trump, so that the cartels are terroristas, that the DA put up a memo that they want total elimination of the cartels.
Queremos include
the heaviest penalties, including the termination penalty. So Frank said that's his worry. That's why their main objective is to just beat the death penalty charge. He's saying that Frank is loaded up. He got a bunch of lawyers. They got an ironclad team as far as he's concerned. He believes, and he's saying, I think they're not going to give him back to Mexico. Is it a message to the government of Mexico, or what is it? It's a form of pressure. It's pressure for them to try to get the United States to take the death penalty off the table. What the fuck is the chantaje, y'all? Salutes. Blackmail. Blackmail, okay. There you go. Thank you. So it's not blackmail, that he's just basically asking him for support. When they use the phrase, if they don't help us, the relations between the U.S. and Mexico will collapse, that Mexico has to enforce their treaty. If Mexico doesn't honor it, they're not honoring the extradition treaty.
Este es un colapso de los tratados.
And it's a collapse of them even doing business like that and creating treaties like that.
Más que una
But here's the thing, you a gangster, you talking gangster, miss me with the metaphors. To me, that felt like y'all better come get me, because if y'all don't come get me, I'm going to start raising some hell. That's what that felt like to me. That's what it felt like to me. Miss me with it was metaphorical. You're going to destroy the fabric of the treaties between our countries. Shattered. No, that was Apurense, right?
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
And yes, there's a lot of politicians that's in fear of things like that. But according to the lawyer, he's not singing and he don't want to sing.
Okay.
Man, this interviewer want to go to the next level. You're saying he's not singing, he doesn't want to sing, and he's never gonna sing? Like, all right, bro, he just told you that. From what we see right now. He said there's not a point where he would. He said it's something that could always happen. See, this is what I like about Ioan Grillo. He said that the lawyer didn't say that. I'm saying that, right? He said his son and his brother cooperated. So it's no big deal, in that sense. He said it's not true that he has the C word. He got the diabetes. He don't got the C word. He's isolated. He's isolated.
El reclusorio en Manhattan.
But he gets daily meetings with his legal team. They give him an hour or two, or with members of his family, because that if he doesn't receive visitation, he might lose his mind. He said Frank Perez is an interesting character. He was a cop, I guess. He's saying that the lawyer he was washing his car when he found out that Mayo was on American soil. He left, he got there, and he founded Mayo in shock. He said after the time and after the months that had passed, that he's not shocked anymore, that he's good, that he seems mentally stable. He said they talk about politics from both sides, Mexico and the U.S. He talks about his ranches and his cows. And yeah, he's a boss of bosses in a cartel that took the lives of a lot of people. It's a strong case. Dude said he's not going to sing against the politicians, is he? What about his enemies? Because his betrayal came from family. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so, yo. His Chapo's son on American soil. Isn't there some kind of vendetta there? I'm just asking you further, aside from the conversation you had with Frank Perez. He says, listen, man, they're fighting a war over this. And it's costing the lives of thousands of people. He said we're reaching thousands of unalived and missing since the start of the war. People think that because he's in their hands, he should just be saying everything. Like, Chapo's already been convicted. He's not, from what we know, giving information.
El Chapo.
And he's got a life sentence. He ain't gonna get. There's no benefit he can get from it. Which it's to Jay's point. What are they gonna give the old man that he don't got? Basically, in contrast with Mayo, he said in contrast to the one that's big and gets in there and starts talking. Sometimes they invent things and say real things and invent things. It's always possible. It's always possible. He said, well, what benefits if you're 75 years old? Chapo's in Supermax. He says very hard to visit Chapo. Yeah, he said that's how I leave it. What benefits he gonna get from ratting?